Welcome to Stories We Love. Stories We Love is about stories we love. And in this show, we get to interview really fun, interesting people who are doing something good for the world. And this show is meant to help you feel good, open your heart, and inspire you in new ways. So today, I feel honored to introduce you to a friend of mine named Steve Glenn. And Steve Glenn has something called Plant Prehab and no plant
Prefab.
prefab. We already messed it up, but that's good. Okay, so correct me. Go. Why don't you say what you got going on, and then I'll shut up.
Time prefab.
Yeah, plant, plant,
Wow.
plant prefab. And so, what is plant free? What is plant? Plant prefab. I'll get it.
Just think plants,
Yeah.
got many behind you, and prefab, as in prefabrication, as in making something offsite. So we design and build sustainable architectural homes, single and multifamily, in factories.
So you build it in a factory and then you drop it off at somebody's location?
Well, we drop off components that comprise the house and they are assembled on a location. Yes.
So when you have builders, like normally when somebody builds a house, it takes a long time. So what is the time frame with what you're doing?
We have the time to construct. I mean, our average project is in the factory for like 3.5 months. So, in that can be, 90% of the house, sort of what's called the vertical, that which is above the foundation. So that and we have a hybrid building system that's comprised of a patented panel that we developed. So panels are like parts of a wall or roof or floor. And in addition, we combine them with modules that are volumetric sections of the home. Think big Lego pieces. So we use the modules to cover spaces with complex plumbing and electrical and millwork. So things like kitchens, baths, utility cores. And so the result is a system that allows us to customize designs or build, I should say, for custom designs, ship them efficiently. These panels ship flat. So that's more efficient than modules, which have a lot of air, and it turns out it's expensive to ship a bunch of air. And also, as I started with, we can solve for different types of design conditions that we encounter, because that's our focus, being able to do custom architecture more efficiently.
That's really interesting. And then you guys got one of the first LEEDS leads certifications, is that right, for houses?
Yeah, I think technically that's probably right. I think really more to the point, we got the first LEED platinum ever. So
Oh,
LEED, the Green Building Certification Program, it stands for Leadership in Environmental and Energy Design. It's administered by the nonprofit United States Green Building Council, and it's a point-based system. So you get points for things that make your buildings more energy efficient, water efficient, more efficient with respect to material resources, better indoor air quality. And based on those points, you can get certified or silver or gold or platinum. Platinum is the highest level of certification. And actually, I live in the first home we ever designed, and I'm here now. And it's the first home to be certified LEED platinum in the history of the program.
yes, that's so cool. I've been to your home and it's fascinating because walls move and it's really interesting just the way it's designed. And I remember, I don't know if this is still the way you do it, but I remember when you gave me a tour at one point, you were saying, "Oh, we use," I don't know if I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but something like recycled Levi jeans for insulation. That was probably a while back, though. I think that was like 10 or 12 years ago. So,
Yeah, I think that you're mixing up a couple things. I wear Levi jeans, and the wall insulation is made of used denim, but I
okay.
don't, but I don't know that it's just Levi jeans.
Oh, okay. That's fair. I kind of think of denim as probably old programming, as Levi, but that's just whatever.
And it probably is mostly, but there may be some Guess jeans and some Wranglers there too. You never know.
Yeah. That's awesome. And maybe Lee jeans. I did a commercial for Lee, so they were jeans
Right,
too.
right.
I should
The
probably think
J.C.
of them.
Penney no name high water jeans.
Yes. So you put them in between the walls for insulation. How does that tell us how that works?
Well, we don't use denim anymore so much. There's more advanced recycled insulation, but there are two ways you can do insulation. There's bat, which comes in sort of big, um, like waffles of insulation that you place in the walls, and then there's blown in insulation that gets blown in,
Uh,
and that tends to be more efficient because it fills every nook and cranny.
and so what makes your houses more environmentally awesome?
Well, as I kind of alluded to earlier, that there's a bunch of areas that one needs to um, or one should focus on if your goal is to really reduce the ecological footprint of your homes and to make them as healthy as possible. So, energy is the most important, probably single category to get right because your home will use more energy over its useful life and is embodied in the materials used to make the home. So there are kind of two sides to making a home more energy efficient. One is, and the most important one, make it energy efficient. So reduce the energy required to heat, cool, and light the home. So we use LED lights, light emitting diodes that use a tenth of the power of incandescent. We insulate the hell out of the homes more than code calls for, as we were sort of talking to earlier. Super high performance windows, super high performance or energy efficient appliances, Energy Star certified appliances. Um, we often, for clients, will do radiant heating, which is a more energy efficient way to heat. So that all reduces the energy you need. And then most of the homes we built have solar power, so that's a renewable way to create energy. Water is also like energy, reduced demand. So we have low flow water fixtures and toilets, and the homes we design are gray water ready. So gray water is using sink, shower, bath water, washing machine, dishwasher for irrigation. So it makes, we're able to capture that for irrigation. I could go through a bunch of other categories if you want.
No, it's really cool, that people like you are being more conscious about how things are being built and using more recycled things and doing more things that are energy conscious. So that's really awesome. The so and you can, is there any place that you haven't been able to put one of these homes? I mean, you have them all over, right? They're people just
No, no, mostly in California. They're expensive to ship. I mean, we have two factories now. We're working on our third, and we'll have factories eventually to serve the country. But uh, we we uh, uh, are currently doing several projects out of state, but mostly it's been California.
and you I'm guessing grew up, I think you even have told me this, that you grew up with a connection to nature. Because I find that most people that do anything that's helpful to the environment, whether it's picking up litter or building sustainable homing, they have some reverence for nature. Can you just share a little bit about what your experience was growing up and how nature impacts you?
Um, yeah, I mean, I grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We often lived in or very close to woods, and I played a lot outside. in the woods. I just always loved Mama Nature. So I've had a pretty deep connection for a while. I got into recycling and kind of thinking about environmental issues in college, and I went to school a while ago. So that was before it was more widespread, or the challenges in climate change. You know, 35 years ago were not something you heard a lot about, but so it's always been something that's been important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nature is so important. If we don't have nature, we have no real way to live. Um, with regard to the irrigation, if it's using, like, is the irrigation filtered at all? Like, if somebody's using, let's say, something that's not environmentally friendly in the laundry, does it go into the plants?
Mhm.
Uh, okay, so there is a way, I'm sure, to filter it if somebody wanted to, right? Just because I think, like,
Our system doesn't have a filter, so you hopefully you'll use environmentally responsible um, uh, uh, washing uh,
yeah,
soap, laundry detergent. Filters are expensive, and that's not something we put on our houses. We assume if you're buying our houses, you care about this stuff, and you're probably using responsible products.
yeah. I mean, I use responsible products, but I'm just thinking of like most people. But I guess you're right. So your market is for people who are interested in doing anything they can to make the environment healthy and happy. And so, yeah, they probably are going to use those. That's great. I like that.
Yeah, and as far as most people go, well, most people don't have gray water systems. So the water you use in your dishwasher and washing machine goes into wastewater, and it's treated before it goes into the ocean or the rivers, theoretically. A gray water system means it does not go into the wastewater system. It's used for your irrigation. So most people, this is not an issue for most people. Most people use whatever they want, and it's treated later. And it's unfortunate because that's a lot of wasted water that you instead you use potable water to landscape. So particularly given what's happening with water these days in California and around the world, we need to be more responsible about water use.
Yes, yes. And I learned recently that the more you grow organic, regenerative farming where the soil is healthy, it kind of holds water. So when there is a rain, the water, if it's a good enough rain, the water can be in the soil for months and months and nourish all the plants and all the roots of the plants for months and months. So that's so important, to minimize the water, but also to increase the health of soil. That's something I'm like getting obsessed with. Um, and when people live in their house, talk about things like air quality and other materials that you might use that are recycled or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot for indoor air quality. Our paints and stains are no VOC, so volatile organic compounds. We source millwork where we can with no urea, formaldehyde. Um, we often, in many of our designs, integrate indoor gardens, which, if you put the right plants, tend to create a lot of oxygen and filter indoor air. We have fans that are on motion control that in the bathrooms that take out moisture that could cause mildew, which is a mold issue. So those are some of the things we do to create better indoor air quality. And then we're pretty careful about how we source materials. We um, uh, use recycled content for insulation, as we've been discussing. Our drywall is made out of recycled content. We have tiles that are made out of recycled glass. We often use steel for homes. Steel is the most recycled building material you can get. It's basically old cars. So I could go on.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it. Because, yeah, I don't know where those old cars go or where recycled building materials go unless somebody uses them. So that's really cool. And when you were talking about so that the house can get delivered, And when the house gets delivered, and so and it's the above ground part of the house, and you said it's like 90% finished, so they have to put in the appliances and stuff like that for the part that's above ground. Is that basically what comes in once you've got it all delivered?
No, it gets delivered with appliances and millwork, and yeah,
Oh, so everything. So it's just putting it together,
exactly,
like the Legos. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
And then yeah, and with the part that's in the ground, because you need the foundation, right? How long once the thing is delivered, once the house is delivered, how long does it take between, I guess you would probably put the foundation in before the house is delivered, right?
It has to be, yes, that has to be done, absolutely.
Yeah, so then that the foundation being put in, that takes, I don't know, some time. But then once the house comes in, how long does it take to assemble the whole thing?
Few days. I mean, you're not ready to move in. You've got to get power and do some touch up work. So, a month or two of work to get everything all together. But as I said, it can be half the time of a normal site-based traditional process. Because we're able to work in parallel with the site work. In a traditional process, first you have to do the site work before you can then start the framing and electrical and plumbing and finish work. But here you do it all in parallel.
And by parallel, you mean you're doing it at the same time.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah, that seems really efficient. I know so many people that, they've even tried to just remodel their house, and it can be, 1, 2, 3 years, depending on who the people they hire are, to just do a remodel. So to get something like this, and it's 2 months, let's say, after it's installed or after, it's brought to the site, like that's got to be, people have to be so happy that it's happening so quickly and is environmentally cool.
Yeah. I think that's why we're busy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And having been to your house, I've seen your garden. How big is the garden that you have in your living room? Because it's like a full-on square with a tree, if I remember.
Well, it's palm and some bamboo, and I don't know how big it is. Maybe,
He's
I don't
looking
know,
at.
4 feet by 4 feet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's great though. It's so cool to walk into a living room and see, or walk into a house and see, a garden coming up with a tree and everything like that.
Yeah, here I can.
Oh, that's cool. See, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, go a little higher with the camera. So, yeah, it's so cool. So, yeah, I love it. I love it. So, with all the windows, you said the windows are energy efficient or like,
We use energy efficient windows. Yeah, windows are not as energy efficient as a wall, but on the other hand, they let in light, and that means you don't have to use as much light to light a space. So you sort of balance in, and light makes us happy and more productive and healthier. So you balance the two, but it's not
yeah.
as good at insulation as wall.
Right, 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 right. And then when you have the designs, I was looking at some of the designs, they're all done by different architects, it seems like, right?
Well, we have many. So we work two ways. Either you can work with any architect, and as long as they design to our design guidelines, we can build for them. So probably 90% of our projects are third-party architects. And we have partner architects or architects with whom we partnered on standardized homes. We call them living homes. And if you go to plantprefab.com, you can see a section that says living homes, and you can um, uh, 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 find out more about the homes we do there.
Oh, that's so cool. And is there anything else about, I know like you had solar at your house, so that's cool. I know you mentioned that, but it's cool just to have certain, things that are making the house more green energy. When they put in the solar, is it enough in general to create, more energy than what somebody might use, at least with the ones that are designed by you guys or with your architects that you partner with?
Well, we don't provide solar, so that's up to an individual how much solar coverage they want to get. But
Oh,
a
I see.
number of our clients have opted to do what are called net zero electricity homes, where they're trying to cover 100% of their needs through solar.
Yeah, I know some people that have 100% solar homes and then they get paid by the electric company, which is a nice way to go.
Yeah, I mean, technically, they're not getting paid. You reverse your meter. Sadly, the electric company won't actually give you money, but they'll credit you.
I misspoke. I
Yeah,
apologize.
well, I'm just clarifying for people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because, I think that's what I had remembered she had said, but maybe she meant that they reverse her meter. But
Right.
um, okay. So is there anything else that I should ask you about? Because this is so fascinating to me. I remember being in your house and just being like, wow, this is so interesting because it was so unusual and it was open and it was a great place. Like you have big events at your houses or at your house. And so that's really cool. And then you have a garden up on top, I think.
Mhm.
And so just the way it was designed, which I think is the Ray Kappa one on your website of the living homes, right?
Very happy.
Ray,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but is there anything else I need to ask you that maybe somebody else would want to understand about these houses?
Well, I mean, there's so much people might, but there's a lot of information at plantprefab.com. And as I said, we work with any architect, and we tend to be much faster and sometimes lower cost, not always than a traditional process, but almost always faster. So yeah, we're happy to talk to anybody about a project.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Steve. It's great to see you.
Nice
And
to see you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
oh,
it.
my pleasure. My pleasure. And so, people, if you want, you go to Prefab,
Plantprefab.com. There
plant,
you go. There
plant
you go.
prefab.com. See, we've improved just from the beginning
Yeah,
of the
yeah. Good.
episode. Awesome. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you so much. And I hope anybody who watches this that's interested will contact you and get a really cool, environmentally sustainable, healthy, energy efficient house.
Well, thank you, Karen. As I said, really appreciate being on the show. Have a
Thank you.
good one.
You
Okay.
too, love. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.